Hello, welcome to Scalemodeling, and welcome to our next build, which will be the Yamato Battleship Turrets. And these are a kit made by Fujimi, and here's the box. And if you want to see the unboxing and review, I've already done that, and that'll be in the playlist. You can bring that up and watch that first to see what's all involved in this. But yeah, so this is what I'm going to be building. Now, there are 3 turrets in here, and I'm just going to build one of them, because you don't want to see me do everything 3 times. And I'd just like to see how we go with one. The reason I bought this kit was to go with my monochrome Yamato 1/200 scale, because these are 200 scale turrets, which can be made to fit into the deck of the Trumpeter's ship. Or in my case, I was planning to display 1, 2, or 3 of these on the stand, on the wooden base of and beside the ship. Main reason being is that you can see through these. These have a clear plastic that covers the bottom, where you can see all the insides of it and the workings of it. I thought that'd be a nice touch on the display. But they are kits on their own, and they can be built up on their own as they are here and displayed separately, which I will probably do with 2 of them. I have 1 for the on the ship base and 2 separately, whatever. But in this case, I'm just going to build 1. So first of all, please, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and hit the notifications bell so you get notified of the videos as they come out. Please, your comments are always welcome below, and give us a thumbs up if you like the video. It helps the algorithm for YouTube to get this video out to more people that want to see it. If you're interested in the unboxing of the 1/200 scale Yamato, you'll find that in my playlist as well on the channel. All right, so let's begin. I'll get this lid off so that this glare doesn't get everywhere. But first of all, let's have a look at the side. So there's pretty much what these are going to look like. So quite detailed inside, with all the shells on the inside here, and inside the top as well. I'm not sure if that lifts off to be displayed. I'm guessing it must do, otherwise you wouldn't go to the trouble of all this on the inside here. And there's what it finished. A couple of views of it with the clear part down below that it sits on. Now it does rotate around, as well as the guns going up and down. So there's nothing else to see, is there? No, other than everything is in Japanese, and I think that includes the instructions. So let's get this open. And all right, there's our box of goodies. So we've got like a, what do we got here? H11. It's like a paint guide. Yeah, it's showing what colors to do these. Got the gun breeches here. Looks like they're a gold color. We'll go through all that. We've got our instructions, which are fairly simple. There's not too many steps to get through. Nothing is in English other than the part numbers and the color callouts. But as for any writing in there, yeah, may need somebody who can translate if it comes to that. So, but it's pretty self-explanatory. There shouldn't be any problem putting this together. there's our step 1 there, so it's getting straight into building up the interior. So we'll be, yeah, all right, we'll get into that. So in the box we have obviously 3 of everything. There's the clear parts, or the clear part I was talking about there. I'll just move this aside so you can see better. But let me just zoom my camera down a little bit. Back in a sec. Okay, so yeah, there it is. So don't get this confused up with your cups. Well, I use these cups for putting parts and paints in. But yeah, so that's going to work as not only a stand for it, but where the whole thing's going to sit in there so you can see. So all good. Then we've got our turrets themselves. And again, quite a lot of detail, but we'll see that as we go through. So what I'm thinking of doing is there is quite a bit of plastic in here, lots of parts, but there's 3 of everything. So what I'm going to do is I'll get myself a plastic container and I'll take all the parts off for one. So I'll need one of those sprues. I'll get it all separated out, and I think there are separate sprues for each. There's 2 in there, so yeah, I'll get one of those out, and I'll get myself organized here. All right, so yeah, let's get stuck into this build. All right, I'll be back in a sec. Okay, so that's done. There's 1/3 of all the parts. Now, I had to be a little bit tricky. It seems that one of the turrets is different. So this one here has the 2 extra holes on the top with the parts for the platform for the gun to go on top of that, and the gun parts, whereas the other 2 turrets don't have those 2 holes. So yeah, I just made sure that that's the right turret to go with those parts. That is probably going to get used at the very end, so I'll keep that aside. We've got all these parts. They're all coloured. So, I mean, you don't have to paint if you don't want to, but obviously we will. Everything else is the nice grey. These, all the interiors are white. Obviously, there's no reference photos to go on, so you've just got to work on that. But you know, we'll do some gunmetal and a few other things to make these look quite good. Yeah, so that's pretty much all there is to it, is these parts. Some more sections there. So all good. All right, so I'll put this aside. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is take a good look at these instructions. So as nothing is in English, I've found a few tricky things, but we'll figure it out. This part here, I have no idea what that is explaining. I think it's mainly pointing to sections of the turret and explaining what they actually are, which is a shame that we can't see. We don't know what that is. Here there's exclamation mark with something written. No idea. This looks like basically telling you how to cut pieces off the sprue. The usual thing. Here's the key to what the different things throughout the instructions might mean. So they're self-explanatory. Make 2, exclamation mark, cut there, both sides, the usual drill a hole. They're okay to work out. Now here we got color callouts, and it seems as though they're all Mr. Hobby, because I found this H11, which I found my H11 Mr. Hobby paint here, which is the flat white. There's also H9, H18 and 83, which I have none of. but I'm not necessarily going to be using these colors. I'll probably be using the Tamiya. That's what I've got most of my supply of. So we'll work around that. Down here we've got all the sprue parts, showing you all the sprues. So they're all labeled and numbered, which is sprue H and numbered, so that's easy. Work that out. Down here, looking at this, there's a little scissors here where you can cut this out. And it looks like if there's any parts missing, for instance, sprue A, B, C, D, whatever, it looks like you might be able to order to get them replaced. I'm just guessing that's what that is. So yeah, and then this here, which is going to be handy, this is showing the painting. So H11 is all these flat white areas, which the pieces are already white, but of course we'll be painting those and priming them and doing some extra detail. These are gold. H9 is going to be a gold color, so that'll be easy. I've got that in another brand. H83 looks like black. Notice down on the bottom there, so that'll be easy to cover. And then there's only H83 is not even mentioned here as one of the colors, and yet it's showing here as required. But that's okay, we can figure this out. This section here is saying H83, whatever that is, H11 and H9. Don't know. But anyway, H11 is up here. I'm not sure what that is. Oh, that's the white, sorry. Yeah, that's the white, no problem. Okay, and there's nothing on there. No problems. All right, so the best way to start is step 1. So, step 1 requires parts B2, B6, and B3. So, let's get the B sprue. And what's that? That's H. There's the B sprue. Open this up. Alright, in here we've got a B sprue and an F, is it? And an F sprue. So we don't need that, we need B. Good, so all these 3 parts are on B. But there's parts that need painting on here as well. So it's saying H11 for me find something to point with. Okay, so it's saying we need to be painting white. Would be these pieces here that are sticking out. Let me just move that aside so you can see. So these raised sections here need to be white, and this one here needs to be white. And then H11, I'm guessing, is the whole of B6 is white. I'm just going to my photo as reference. And yes, it is white. So these are going to be white. And they are 2 halves to go together to form one piece by the looks of it. That's part 4 and 5, which is B6. Where's B6 then? Ah, B6 is this one. So that's B6 is this. And I wonder if the other side's covered because it's only showing 1. Interesting. I guess that's how that is, B6. Yeah, it is, okay. And B3 is this one, which is, yeah, that's B3. It's here, and B2 is this one here. I'm guessing that's got to be a certain color for those, whatever they are, and yet it's not saying anything on here. So, okay. That's fine. These parts are not used at the moment. Right, let me have a look. There's a F sprue. So where was F? That's R. F is this one here. No, that's M. Tricky, isn't it? Where's F sprue? H. F2 and F3. Looks like. Is that it? Oh, yes, F. Okay. So that's F2 and F3. Okay, and then they go on to here, and this goes into the center. All right, I'm figuring it out. Here we're seeing some close-ups of F2, which will be this one here, and we've got white. So these need to be done white. And same with F3. So those there, which are all the shells, and it looks like the racks they're on are all white. And then we've got B6, which is referring to this piece up the center, which was this, wasn't it? Yeah, B6. Okay, that's just showing the profile view of how it looks with this sitting in the center. This is going to be really, really tricky, isn't it? And that's just step one. It seems like I'm going to have to get some of these parts painted before I can do any of putting anything together. Okay, let me come back when I've got my head around this. Back shortly. Okay, so I've made a bit of a plan here. First of all, I'm not going to follow these instructions anywhere near the order they want me to, because it's just going to make painting too difficult. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first start off with the turret, the actual top of the turret. So this, I'm going to paint that first, but first I'll put all the pieces on there that I need on there before I paint it, and work backwards basically, because once that's painted, then we can do the base that it sits on, which is going to go on like that, I'm guessing, and that can be painted as well. Now what I've done is I'm going to use for my primary base coat is I'm going to use my Outlaw Paints black primer, will be for the grey turret, mainly because I'm going to get that nice shadow effect with all the detail on there come out when I paint the actual grey colour over the top of the black primer. So that's all going to be done in the black. The same with this and any other parts that don't have white. Okay, the parts that have white, for instance, this one here, I think it was, or this one, where all these need to be white whilst this needs to be grey, I'm going to spray this also with Outlaw Paints. This one is the grey primer. I know there's no sticker, but this is the grey primer. So mainly because it'll be easier to do these white over grey rather than over a black primer. Okay. I'll be able to mask that up and then hit that with the white over grey, if that makes sense. All right. Now for the colors themselves, I've made a list, and what I've done is I've converted. Now H11 flat white, no problem. I have that, Mr. Hobby. I can do that. And that's fine, no problem. And that will also be done over these. Now all of these in here, which is all the internal parts that are already white, I'll be doing it in grey primer. All right, so every part on here will be done, will be primed in either grey or black. The blast bags on here will also be done grey, and then I'll do white over the top, again to give that shade effect of the colour underneath. All right, and just the fact that white's going to go on easier over a grey primer. But I already explained my theory on that. Now H9 is another colour we need, and that is a gold colour. Now I actually have gold leaf X12 Tamiya. That's what I'm going to use. So I'll be doing that. I'm not sure what parts that'll be. Gold. Haven't really seen where that is yet. But yeah, that was a colour. H9 was gold. Now H11 flat white, we've got that. That's fine. Now there's H18, which is a metallic grey steel. And the closest thing I've got to that are the XF56 metallic grey. I've got a couple of those, so no shortage of that. So those parts will be covered. Now the actual grey itself of the turret, okay, is they want Mr. Hobby 83, which is a dark grey, which as far as I can see is best, is going to match up with XF75 grey. Although now that I've brought that out and I look at it onto here, I'm not too sure. I might just go and check to see if there's another grey I have, and we'll be able and just get something that's a little bit closer to the grey that the actual piece is. Yeah, but mind you, when I black prime it and then hit the grey on top, because it's got the black primer underneath, it's going to be a bit darker anyway. So I think that's a pretty good match. But I do just want to check. I do have a German grey, and I just want to see what that looks like. I'll be back in a sec. I'll just grab that. Okay, so I just grabbed my German grey, and it's too dark. There's a difference there. Way too dark. So yeah, I'm happy with XF75. That's the Imperial Japanese Navy grey. Cure Arsenal. Yeah. Yep. So they're the colours sorted. And yeah, and so that's it. So what I'm going to do is get this top of this turret, and we need to put these on the sides here, which I think are these called gun directors. Not sure, but anyway, so those need to go on. There's also platforms for the guns that sit on top here. They'll go on. The guns themselves, let me just grab this. Well, just they're in here, aren't they? Yes, they're in here. Have a look. So there it is there. So that's going to be the same grey as the turret, so we'll do that. Those will probably be the metallic grey, so we'll leave those on the sprue, but we'll paint them up with that. There's also a couple of pieces, N3, which go on here somewhere. And there's a couple of bit holes there that have to be, something goes in there as well. I just need to track back to find what that is. There it is here. So these instructions, I'm going to be all over the place doing this. But look at these pieces. So all these pieces need to go on because they're all going to be the same grey. All right. Okay, I'll tidy up here and we'll start taking pieces off sprue. Yeah. Okay, back in a sec. Okay, so I've been through all the instructions and figured out that all these here need to be undercoated black because these are all going to be grey. Okay, the tricky part here was these supports that go inside the turret, even though they're on the grey sprue, they're going to be white. So what I'll be doing is I will not be painting them black. I'll leave those, I'll do those grey. Okay, so those will come off, and I'll just do these, I'll do black, I think. Not sure. These ones here, I think they are black anyway. Or dark. That's the H83, so they're grey. Oh, they are grey. H83. Yeah, XF grey that I've got for it. So that's fine to do all that black. But these ones are going to be white, so I'll be undercoating those in grey. I know it all sounds confusing. But anyway, so what I'll do is I'll clip these off like this, just to keep these completely separate. Like that and like that. All right, so they will stay separate, and those will go into the collection of what's going to be undercoated black. All right, so I will go take all these pieces off the sprue. These ones here I'll leave on because where they're actually connected onto the sprue are parts of it that will actually not be seen. So they've done a good job of doing that. So they won't need to be touched up or anything. So although that one may, but they'll be fine. So I can do them on the sprue. Everything else will come off. I just saw these ones here. I'm just trying to see what color they were supposed to be. Because on the instructions, there they are there, these three pieces. That's these three. Doesn't tell you any color call out for them. Yeah. So I'm going to have to go and see if I can find in the photographs where they are and what color they'll be. Anyway, all right. So I'm going to get these off the sprues and clean them all up, and we'll come back when I'm part the way through that. Okay, I'll be back soon. Okay, back again, and had a bit of a disaster. My Optivisor magnifying glasses here broke. Yeah, they cracked around here. I was wondering why they were slipping off my nose so easily and sliding off so easy. It was because this was bending outwards and they weren't sitting tight against my head. And then I realized that there's a crack there going through. So I tried using CA glue. I filled in with CA glue, but it didn't hold. I don't know what this plastic is, but it wasn't good enough. So now what I've done is I've made some, well, I've got some of my homemade sprue glue, and I've layered that in there, and hopefully that's going to, yeah, that's going to work, because I really, really need these. And my last one's broke in a similar place, so I have two pairs, but yeah, I can't transfer parts, unfortunately. Yeah, so I'm going to have to go and put these over to dry and hope that dries nice and tight and solves that problem, because I really need those. I really, really need those. So in the meantime, what I'm doing is I'm putting all the parts all on the top of here that need to go on before I spray. And step 8 is where I've started with doing all these parts here. Now I had a bit of a panic because I was looking for N4 and N5 and I couldn't find them anywhere. And I couldn't find the sprue anywhere. I went and checked over here and I'm going, okay, we got F, G, H, K, L, R, M, Q, G. I'm like, oh no, what's going on? There is no N sprue. Then I found it over here. There's the N sprue and there's the little parts on the side. It was still in the box. I hadn't brought it out to put these. So that crisis was averted. So anyway, so I'm going to try without the glasses, or I might wait, let that dry, and then I'll come back and finish these, because these are probably some of the smallest parts I need to fit. Yeah, let's fingers crossed that that'll harden up and they'll be as good as new, and it'll be fine. All right, so backward, back soon. Okay, back again, and here we are with all the, or some of the parts on the turret. So I've completed step 8 and put all these bits and pieces on. And now I'm going to jump to step 10 and put these on. So I'll glue these two together and then attach them to the side. And then after that, we'll move on and put these platforms for the guns that sit on top. Step 12. That way, that should be everything I need on here for the turret. And that'll be fine to paint then. The other parts, I was starting to take them all off and prepare them for spraying when I realised, oh, I've still got to, I can attach these and spray them while they're on there. So I'm going to move on and do that. And I think that's the best way to go about it. Yeah. The other parts have still got to be taken off the sprues yet. We've got this platform and the base and everything that need to be sprayed separately. I don't think there's much to be added to those parts before they're sprayed. Okay, moving on, I shall return. Oh, and just an update. I tried super gluing this and it didn't work. I used sprue glue, some sprue, which I had mixed up here, and layered that in, left it overnight. Didn't work either. It's still cracking through that. So then I've gone and put in a couple of splints on the side here to hold it straight. I've glued those on. That helped, but this is not going to last. This is only temporary. Yeah, it's not going to work. And on top of that, these are worn in here as well, and they slide down my nose, and it's extremely irritating every 15 seconds having to push these things back up on your nose. So it looks like I'm going to have to get another pair. They lasted quite well. I can't think of any other brand that would be any better. When they are working properly, they do work properly. So yeah, it looks like I've got to put an order in for these. Anyway, Vision Aid they come from. Yeah. All right, I'll be back shortly. Okay, so I just thought I'd show you how these went together. You can't go wrong doing these. They're keyed in a big way. There's those 3 holes where these 3 prongs go in, and in fact they fit so well that when I pushed that one in just to try it, and then I couldn't get it apart. So I just put some extra thin around there to make sure it's all fine, and that's it. So yeah, they key in really well and very nice fit. For the cleanup of the edges of here, I'm still using my razor what do they call this, like a nano glass file, and it's for Gundam stuff, but it really takes off and leaves a beautiful, nothing there, nothing, you can't see anything. It's such a good finish on that. The only thing is that the plastic dust, not sawdust, the plastic dust that comes off is really fine powder, and it does get everywhere on your piece, so you need to just blow it and it'll come off. And for this, which I haven't done it yet, and I got this tip from Nigel Modelling Bench, is for cleaning these or any files, whether you've got, these type, whatever files, use a pair of denim jeans. Now I've got an old pair in there that I don't wear anymore. I've been meaning to do it, so I'm going to cut the leg off and fold it up and have it sitting over here on the side of the bench or somewhere out of the way, so when I'm finished with this I can just wipe it across that and it takes all the dust straight off. You don't end up with a mess, but they don't clog very easily. It's no big deal. It's just like a normal file, and when you do wipe them like that, they come up just like new. Or you can run them under water if you want to go to the trouble, but don't need to. Use a paper towel even, it's fine. So this one's just going to simply click into there like that, and that just clicked in nice and tight then. I'll just touch this with some extra thin, just going to go like that, bit there, and we'll put just a tad under there. That's as good as done. Now these pieces will sit on the side here. I hope I didn't get them mixed up and there's a difference. There's an E1. Oh, it's okay, figure that out. So these will go in here, and again, all these parts are keyed. Even all these little individual ones, they only go in one way. So where there's the round pin to go in, there's one straight edge. That straight edge lines up with the straight edge in the round hole. So you can't put them in backwards or upside down or anything. And same with these. They're round, but then they have that little straight piece on the bottom, which is going to line up with the key there. And it's just a matter of going in, not like that, because I just put that in for the sake of it. And we see which way they go first. They go that way. So this one's going to go on this end. And that's going to go, well, there you go. See, you can't go wrong. They're a nice tight fit. And I'll just run some extra thin around the edge there. So, yeah. And that will be done. I'm going to put the other side on here now. And there like that. There it is. In fact, what I would do is simply just put some on here. That's all it needs to hold it. Don't need to put anything on the outside. All right. Then we'll do the platforms on the top, which are ready to simply pop them down onto there. Okay, I shall do this and we'll come back and have a look at it when it's got everything on it. Back in a sec. Okay, so there's our turret complete. Everything's on there that needs to be on there that can be sprayed now. So I'll put this aside and I'll use one of these to hold on to it under here. Like this. That's my handle for spraying it. That'll go over in the ready to get done. So what I'm doing now is the barrels for it. I'm going to take them off the sprue because if I look at these here, and they're all the same numbers, so they don't need to be in any particular order. So if I take them off like this, that's one. So that part there will slide inside the blast bag covering. So what I can do with that is I don't need to paint that. It's probably best that I don't anyway for the fit. So I'll use that to hold that. That again will be my handle for spraying it. Now there's that little bit there where I took the nub off, took it off the sprue. So what I would do is grab my little razor here and just very gently just go like this, and that'll take that off completely. Now these are casted, like slide molded. There's no seam. There's no seam on this, so that's really good. But yeah, I'll just take that off like this. It's almost gone there. You run your nail across it and you can feel nothing. But I like to just keep going until I see nothing. Let's see how that looks. And there you go. It's completely gone. All right. So I'll do that for the other two, for a total of 3, and stick them in my foam. Where I'm putting them, just so you know, is in this tray here with some foam. That holds them there. And when I paint them, I'll put them back on there, let them dry, and I'll put all of this inside one of those big white plastic tub with a loose fitting lid on the top, just to prevent the dust getting onto them. Okay. All right, I'll do these ones and I shall return. Okay, so I've just taken this part off and checking everything on here. All the parts that go on here will all be white. So they'll all be painted up separately. You see some nice mesh detail here on here, which is good. But what I've noticed is that this actually fits on the bottom of here, like that. So everything that's going to go on top of that, all the firing mechanism and all the parts all behind there that are all got to be painted up white, you can't see at all. So I'm guessing that this will not get glued on, and that you'll be able to maybe just lift that off to show all that. I don't know. It's strange that all that detail work goes in underneath and you can't see any of it. So this does fit quite well, and once it's in place it could be lifted off easily, I'm pretty sure. Depending if these turrets get connected to anything, but I don't think they do. They just connect on glue to the blast bags that will sit on here. Yeah, they do, so that's fine. So yeah, but I just thought I'd point that out. And also, if you're doing this kit and you do take this piece off, be aware that there are 2 little pieces there, number 3 and 4, that don't even look like pieces. They're so small. They are. I don't know where they go, but don't throw that out thinking you've finished with it and it's empty. There's 2 tiny little pieces still to go on there. And that's sprue N parts 3. There's 2 parts 3. I'm thinking that they may be, I'm not sure where they go. Anyway, we'll come to them, but yeah, don't throw out that. All right, so this part here, I will mount this somehow. I'm guessing that can go, I can hold it by this with my clamp and then paint that. That's probably the best way to go about that. All right, I'll put that back on there. And yeah, so all the parts that go on that are all going to be white. Yeah, there is one piece that sits on the back here that, even though it's white, as in the plastic part here, so that's it there. That's going to sit on there. That's all white. These are all white, going by the instructions. Yeah, but this here is going to be grey. So it's just going to be a matter, I'll have to mask that up and spray that grey separately. But again, that's all going to be underneath the turret, which you'd only see if you could lift it off. I'm hoping that we can. Okay, that's the loading mechanism there for the shells before they go into and get fired, because your barrels of the guns are going to be sitting sort of in front of them. Okay, sort of working it out. Okay, all right, I'll do a little bit more and we'll come back shortly. Okay, so this really requires some thinking ahead. I've got to picture, particularly the painting. Now, here I've got, this is the part that goes under the turret, all right, and this sits in here. There's these pins that go into there. No problem, they fit in like that. I won't push them all the way, but they do fit. Okay, now around the outside here are these metal plates, and again they have these tabs here that go into those holes there, and if you put them in, like, let's take that back out, you can see how good that fit is. So they're going to go like this, 1, 2, and they sit flush in there, so that's going to sit, and there'll be another 1, 2, they go all the way around, and then this, like I said, will go on top, and that's going to sit flush there when that clips down in there. So because of that, none of this will be seen. This is all the inside, so that doesn't need to be painted. Only this top area here does. Also, this doesn't need to be painted because this will go on cover all the way around. So what I'll do is I'll glue these on, and that can be painted. This doesn't need to be painted in here, obviously, because that's going to go on top of it there. This underside here might, because I think this is part of the clear area that you could look up and see under there. If I'm right, I think this ring here will go, yeah, it does. It's going to go on there. And I think it just sits and rotates on that. It doesn't get glued. But this gets glued to the clear plastic. That might have been upside down. I think it goes that way. Yeah, figure that out. So, you see what I mean? There's some of these parts can be put together. So what I'll do is I'll put these together. I'll glue them on. I'll clean them up so they're going on fine. Yeah. There's they're actually numbered on the plastic parts, which is good too. So when you take them off, you're not going to get them mixed up. So that's handy to know. I just noticed that then. All right, so what I'll do is I'll put these other sides on, glue them on, and then we'll come back. As for this part, that's pretty much the underside of this does not need to be painted. It's going in there, so I can simply put our clip on that, and that goes into my painting tray, ready. And I'll work on this now. We'll come back. Okay, back in a sec. Okay, so just a tip for doing this. I suggest clamping them with something. I'm using these little wooden pegs. You can buy them in cheap little stores. Once you push them in, and then if you clamp them at each join as you go around, it lines up literally perfectly. All right. So what I would do first is where they go inside here, I'll run some of my little instant cement on there, and I'll just leave it like it is, and then on the inside I might just touch it down the inside so that those joins also join up. But you'll find that it's a perfect fit. You can't see any connection of these three pieces. So there you go, it's looking really nice. So I'm going to glue that, leave it for about half hour, that's all it should be. And then that can go onto my paint tray ready to paint. Yeah, all right, so, and there's another sprue finished. Definitely finished. All right, I shall return. Okay, welcome back. So I've got all the parts ready to paint that I need to have, all of them here, which I'm going to go and do the undercoat of. I've decided not to go the black undercoat. I'm going to go the grey undercoat. I just think black might be a bit too dark, and we can do that, fix it all up with the weathering and panel lining and so forth to bring out the details of all the rivets and everything. Yeah, so there it is, all there. Now, if you remember, I mentioned these, not to throw out this sprue because there's these two tiny little pieces. Well, I had to look through the instructions, and when you get down to the last step 12, and then it says finish, there's actually another step here. Move that so you can see this here, which shows those two tiny little end ones on here, and they actually go, they're slightly angled and they sit on the edge of here. So one will go there, one will go there. There's no locating points for them at all. I'm guessing they're like an addition, so they've been added on. I checked the other turrets, and they're not for one or two or three of them, and all the turrets are the same, and they all have them going on there. So I will put them, one there and one there, and that finishes that, and then we can throw that sprue away. So that's what I'm going to do now, and that's it. So and then I'll get all this undercoated, and that you'll have to come back for in the next part 2 video, because we're getting up to that hour mark, and yeah, I'll start on that, and then we'll have a look at how these things are looking undercoated, and we can go on and continue afterwards. So thanks for watching part 1, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Give us a thumbs up if you like it. Your comments are welcome below, and let me know what you think of this so far. It's quite tricky in the way that you've got the order to build it, in the way of being able to paint it as well. A lot of parts that can't be seen as far as I can tell, but we'll see in the next part how that goes. And it's all good. So thanks guys, and I'll see you all in part 2. Bye for now. Cheers.